Hey up everyone. Kove are a company on a mission. Despite the fact that as a company they were only founded in 2017, the story is really about its founder. The story behind Zhang Xue is a romantic one with, dare I say it, an Italian feel. It's a story of passion and dedication. A young man who had a dream. He wanted to be a racer, and Dakar was his passion. Unfortunately, Zhang Xue's family couldn't afford for him to become a professional rider, but Xue was desperate to be part of the racing world, so he studied as a mechanic. A simple plan. His skills were recognised early on, and he made a name for himself within the Chinese motorcycle industry as a very capable engineer. In 2007, after developing his mechanical skills, Zhang Xue would finally race in the Chinese Motocross Championship. He was a reasonable rider, but being realistic, he was a much better engineer, and in his own words, he was getting too old to ride as a professional. This was the start of a new dream. If he couldn't enter the Dakar himself, he would design a bike to help new upcoming Chinese riders to enter and eventually win the Dakar. He set out a 5-year plan. Year 1, the goal was to finish the rally. Year 2, they would get a top 20 finish. In the 3rd year, they would get a top 10 finish. For year 4, the aim was a podium, and in year 5, the goal was to win. 2023 is the start of that journey, as you will hear in the interview.
For the first time on the Dakar, a Chinese factory team is present in the bike class with a brand new rally bike. And it all started with the dream of Zhang Xue.
The bike is 100% Chinese. Everything is Chinese. The riders are Chinese. So that's the nice side. They didn't just copy, they made a bike that he wanted. And no part looks like that of any other bike.
You want to win the Dakar in 5 years?
Yes.
And it's possible?
Yes.
And so to the plan, a simple and very ambitious one.
This year, first of all, end the race and learn. Next year, hopefully have at least one rider in the top 20. 3rd year, top 10. By the 4th year, hopefully podium. And 5th year, number 1.
He's a guy who lived on the streets. With him, nothing is impossible. He's incredible, incredible. I saw him 2 days ago strip down the bikes, strip down the shock absorbers, go in the assistance truck to cut things and make the bike stronger. I don't often see bosses of big brands do such things.
What sets Kove apart from the rest is Zhang Xue. His engines always work better than those of the competitors, and combining his skill as an engineer with his focus on the bike's lightness, brought him to the attention of Longqing, one of the biggest motorcycle manufacturers of all in China. On top of his work for Longqing, in his own time, he worked on the race bikes of various teams, and after years of gaining experience in the world of racing, he began to work on his own designs for a completely new motorcycle. The parent company, Longqing, had sold Xue's motorcycles under various brand names such as Kove and XL, but Xue did also manufacture motorcycles for other brands like Jawa and Macabor. However, in 2013, he built his first complete handmade motorcycle. With the support of Longqing, opened a factory with just a few staff, where he developed his ideas further. Finally, 4 years later in 2017, the Kove brand was born. A second factory was opened, and Zhang Xue was given complete design autonomy by the Longqing Group. Since then, the company has steadily increased their market share to become the 4th best-selling brand in China, and the Kove 525X has become the best-selling ADV bike in China too. More importantly, this decision gave the company the chance to step away from the production of clones and copies of other people's motorcycles into the role of a company in control of its own future, with a clear focus on racing, research and development. The 525X was developed as a direct replacement for what was effectively a CB500X clone. The chassis and suspension were improved and the engine was reworked too, but the power was capped as the bike was already being sold successfully by launching into the A2 licensed market of Europe under several other brand names. The core of the newly developed range was gradually settled on, and not surprisingly, motorcycle racing was at its heart. Zhang Xue had a dream of proving his bikes at the fabled Dakar Rally, and in 2023 had his first chance. The 450 Rally is the bike he had designed to take on the Dakar for the very first time. That in itself is a measure of the self-confidence he has in his products. Any CEO who flies out to the desert to work on the bikes himself, as Zhang Xue has done with the Dakar team, has my utmost respect. I don't see too many CEOs getting their hands dirty. The new range would be built around 3 motorcycles. These would be the brand's ambassadors on the world stage. The Kove 450 Rally is a race-bred bike and will be available in at least 2 and possibly 3 versions. The engine is based on a Zhang Xue design, with more than 50 horsepower on the standard version and over 55 horsepower on the factory rally race bike. The spec sheet for this bike reads like a wish list of components, and a long-range 3-part fuel tank is just a small part of that. The full nav tower and long-travel fully adjustable Zhejuan USD foot and rear shock with carbon bash plate is the start of a long list. The third version talked about is a lower seat, fully road legal version with lights and indicators. 2023 marks its first Dakar entry. The bike is the first completely Chinese designed, built and ridden entry to the Dakar, and they have accomplished everything they set out to do. They can now tick off the first year in Dakar as a resounding success. You can see some footage from the Dakar and the preparation in this video. The second bike to come out of the research and development arm of the company is an all-new road-going version of their 400cc factory road racing bike. It uses a 4-cylinder engine produced in-house by Kove, and this bike can reach top speed of over 220 km an hour or 136 miles an hour, and it has a dry weight of just 160 kilos. The design is reminiscent of the screaming 250cc high-revving 4-cylinder Japanese bikes of the early 90s. The full factory race bike will face off against the Yamaha R3 and Kawasaki Ninja 400 for the 2023 Supersport 300 World Championship. When you consider that the CF Moto race bikes are simply rebadged KTMs, this will be the first time a truly Chinese built and designed motorcycle has been introduced into the European racing scene. The third bike of the newly designed range is an all-new adventure bike called the 800X, and it could cause a real stir in the mid-sized adventure bike market. Of all the new bikes of 2023 that have been dragged around the shows, this is the only one I've been pleasantly surprised and excited by. Creating around 100 horsepower at 9,000 RPM with a maximum torque of 81 Nm at 7,500 RPM, the Kove engine has real power. With a curb weight of just 183 kilos wet, the bike is also significantly lighter than both the KTM 890 Adventure and Yamaha 700 Tenere. These figures give it a power-to-weight ratio better than any other comparable adventure bike on the market, and the projected top speed of 218 km an hour or 135 miles an hour will make it a serious performer. In the words of the CEO, when somebody spends 6,000 or 7,000 euros for a Chinese motorcycle, they accept the risk of buying a mediocre Chinese bike. But while spending around 9,000 or 10,000 euros, the risks are bigger, and maybe not so many people will like to face that risk unless there is great backup and a good network of dealers for spares and servicing. When discussing the 800X, Zhang Xue says, "We wanted to make a bike that could be easy to handle but fun. Most adventure bikes are more road orientated, but we have put a lot of effort into the off-road performance on this bike. We wanted a motorcycle that would appeal to experienced riders as well as those with less experience. Let me know what you think about Kove the brand. Did you know about them already? Are you interested in their bikes? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next video. Ride free, everyone.